Daily Trends or your trending news channel. Sabri and Sema Bekayensa Yemumra and Semu.
By Hawa Kumsin, there was no shooting. He completely exonerated Hawa Kumsin. I'll show you that video in a minute. But yesterday, Johnson Asiedu Nketia responded to Muntaka in very brutal words and said that whatever Muntaka said was wrong. See the video of Johnson Asiedu Nketia. Have a look at the video. Well, sorry about the sound. We should have maybe subtitled it because the sound was not that clear. He says that recently somebody issued a statement.
Saboni Valentine's Day.
Kaswa, and that's balderdash, that nobody is a child. The things that happen in Kaswa happen and we all saw it. Who issued a statement that something happened in Kaswa? It's the government. It's the government that researched it. It's not opposition, it's the government. And who did the statement? Mubarak Muntaka. The same man that Asiedu Nketia had overthrown from parliament, who is now Minister of Interior. Asiedu Nketia goes to Kaswa where the report was done, and he's saying it months after that, Yanyan Kola, we are not children. With that balderdash he came to tell us that nothing happened, we won't take it. But you won't take it, it's me that you are telling, what should I do? I don't have anything to do with it. You see, Asiedu Nketia is very clever. He's going around mopping up votes in the party and mopping up support for his agenda. His agenda may not necessarily be he running for president, even though he is, but his agenda includes putting people in certain places. His agenda includes getting a certain swell of the votes on his side so that he can deploy those votes to any agenda that he sets his mind on. And he's a very clever politician. That's what he is. He has a lot of time and he has a lot of money. So that yes, Asiedu Nketia has a lot of money. Who said you think he doesn't have money? He has a lot of money. In the coming days, I'll be showing you how much money Kweku has. Asiedu Nketia has a lot. He has plenty money. Forget about how he appears. He is a very wealthy man. He's rich. Papa Asiedu Nketia is rich. I'm telling you, forget about even his Gapoha board chairman. He's already rich before Gapoha. So don't look at him and be taken in by his appearance. Kweku is a billionaire. Kweku is a billionaire. Asiedu Nketia has a lot of money. So he has money to push the propaganda, and that's what he's doing. He's mobilizing the party people so that they will be on his side, so that he can create an opinion, and that opinion will have a groundswell of support, and that opinion will hold. And he's telling the party people, I'm with you, they are not with you, those in appointment are not you, I am you. And that's really what he's doing. I don't know whether the people in Jubilee House have observed it, and those who want to contest, whether they've observed that the ground on which they stand is being removed by Asiedu Nketia gradually. He's pulling the ground from Ato Forson's feet. He's pulling the ground from the vice president's feet. He's pulling the ground from Haruna Idrisu's feet. He's pulling the ground from Julius Debre's feet. Asiedu Nketia is the most clever man in the NDC. He's pulling the ground from everybody's feet. And by the time you see, you all cave in, and it will cover, and he will stand on top and hold the umbrella, and he will tell you that I told you so. Next time you want more information on Asiedu Nketia, check onto our Facebook page. There's so much to share with you over Jamal. Let me explain to you why the parliamentary group against Baba Jamal. It's about the fear of Asiedu Nketia. Johnson Asiedu Nketia is to be feared. He's the chairman of the party, isn't he? Now what has happened? So Johnson Asiedu Nketia here was responsible for the removal of Haruna Idrisu and Mubarak Muntaka here, the current minister for Interior. Mubarak Muntaka and Haruna Idrisu were removed from leadership by Johnson Asiedu Nketia. There were many people who felt that Asiedu Nketia had committed a cardinal sin, but it turned out that the NDC won the election, and Asiedu Nketia was beginning to see signs that the NDC will win the election. And he knew that changing the leadership at the time was the best time to do it, because you have to take them out, and so that he will be in control by the time the election is won. Asiedu Nketia has demonstrated that he has a problem with Mubarak Muntaka. And it was suspected so, but now it is very clear that Asiedu Nketia had a problem with him. I'll come to that. So the reason why Baba Jamal was obstructed by the majority, who wrote a statement that the thing should be annulled and Baba Jamal be banned, is that the majority were scared that Asiedu Nketia, who had asked Baba Jamal to come into the race, was preparing to change Mahama Ayariga. I don't know whether I have Mahama Ayariga's photograph there. He was preparing to change Mahama Ayariga. That's a rumor. The rumor is that Asiedu Nketia is preparing to change Mahama Ayariga with Baba Jamal, because Baba Jamal is seasoned. He's very seasoned, and he's a 500% Asiedu Nketia man. The story is that since Asiedu Nketia supported Mahama Ayariga to be leader, he's seen Mahama Ayariga is doing too much Jubilee House. He's doing too much on Mahama Jubilee House. It looks like he wants to be with the government people. He should be there. So it's fine. Asiedu Nketia recognized the party as tripartite: the government, the party, and the parliamentary party. Asiedu Nketia believes that he controls two of that. The party and the parliamentary party is controlled by him, and then the government is the government. That's what he believes. So if you are doing Jubilee House too much, he gets suspicious, and he has absolute control over the national executive. So if he wants to change you, Oga, you will go. John Mahama cannot save you. John Mahama is one vote, and he may not even attend because a busy president. He may not attend. He will send somebody, and that somebody cannot stand in front of Asiedu Nketia and say nothing is out. So if Asiedu Nketia doesn't want you to be majority leader, Oga, prepare, you are going to leave. Now that is the fear that Asiedu is bringing Baba Jamal to come and take this position. It is that fear that got Mahama Ayariga to mobilize the majority in parliament to issue a statement and say, party, cancel the election and don't let Baba Jamal and all those who participated. That was the important catch. You see, they didn't say just annul the election. They said annul the election, but don't let Baba Jamal participate in the next one. All those who have found blah blah blah, they cast vote on Baba Jamal. So right now there's fear of Baba Jamal in parliament, because if NDC were to win the Ayawaso West, and they could win, if they are to win the Ayawaso West election, Baba Jamal walks into the parliament. Baba is senior to some of them in the party. He's very senior. Baba has been there since about maybe 94 or something like that. Baba has been around for a while. He was news coordinating secretary long time ago, very long time ago. So Baba Jamal is senior to quite a few of them in the party. So if he walks into that parliament, he's senior to Nelson, Roxy, the chief whip, Dafiama. Oh, Baba Jamal is senior to him many years. Baba Jamal is senior to Ato Forsen. So Baba Jamal is with Haruna Idrisu the same, or maybe even slightly senior to Haruna Idrisu. Baba Jamal is Elvis Efie Ankra, Samuel Ofuso Ampofo. That's NDC people. That's Baba Jamal's level. That's his mates in NDC. Samuel Ofuso Ampofo. That's long time ago, very long time ago. When Kwesi Botwe was there, Baba Jamal was in the youth. So Baba Jamal is a towering figure. He's not some simple guy, and he now has the support of the chairman. He and the chairman are together. They are twins, and they are working towards an ambition in the party. So Ayariga knows that Baba Jamal walking into the parliament is not simple for him, because he also knows that he has been doing Jubilee instead of doing party. He's been doing quite a bit of Jubilee. He knows that. So they decided that this is an opportunity. Let's block him out, and they failed. So he's coming into the thing. They are working. They have a job, so they are earning 3,000 cedis a month. Microwave is 2,500. They can take a loan and pay small and get their microwave. So they will go to the vote and decide whether Baba Jamal is the right person or so and so is the right person. They vote for that person. They don't need television sets. That's the problem. So you either fix the poverty or alternatives. You change the. Okay, they're going to. Okay, yeah. The alternatives. I think I have one. Good. Yes, let me go to the next one. So what are the alternatives? You see, when we are filling the forms, when we are filling these forms, we say that when you want an endorsement, they will say that get a senior police officer. Where is he? Is he a senior police officer? A barrister at law of 10 years standing. They say get a medical doctor of something years standing, an engineer of something years standing, or a pastor. There's a pastor inside usually. I think this is the pastor. A pastor of a registered church, blah blah blah. If we say that our delegate list will be limited to these people, nobody's going to pay anybody to buy anything. We can't. Can we go this way? Maybe we can, maybe we cannot. That's another alternative. What's the other alternative? Is that, as people have been saying, let all MPP members register. Anybody who says he's MPP, register MPP. Anybody who's NDC, register NDC. And then, when it's time to elect a presidential candidate or a party somebody, all of you go vote. So NDC will have about 4 million people voting for the candidate. MPP will have 5 million voting for that. You're going to pay 4 million and 5 million people. That's another alternative. But this is the problem with that one. That both parties are scared. As you may have heard Asiedu Nketia say, both parties are scared. Now they are scared because I can register for MPP today and change my mind and go and register for NDC tomorrow, and that's allowed. But they are scared that NDC will register people into MPP and let them vote for the candidate that NDC wants, the one that they think they can easily defeat. That's a problem, and vice versa. MPP will do the same, NDC will do the same. That's a problem. That's why they are not able to agree on this one. But this is one of the, it happens in America. In America, yes, it happens. Some people are Republican, they go and vote Democrat. Barack Obama registered millions of people to vote for him. A new candidate can come and register. And I just had to apologize. I just told controversial things anymore. But then that set me thinking, pondering about what is controversial. And I just started looking at it. I knew what he was talking about. Obviously, he's referring to the editorials that we have been churning out on the history of Ghana and the Convention People's Party and CPP and Kwame Nkrumah and all of that. That's obviously what he's referring to. Controversial. You see, it sometimes is worrying and it's concerning when you see that there's a conversation going on, and people that are part of civil society who you expect to examine the conversation and make a position, take a position on it, they don't. So there are some people who say that, oh, as for me, the Nkrumah and Dankwa thing, I'm in the middle. I don't know. I'm not on any side. You can't say you're not on any side, because those advocating for A are saying something and those advocating for B are saying something. You can examine what they are saying and decide that what B is saying is 70% truth, but it's 30% untrue. Or what A is saying is 70% truth, but there are a lot of people who decide that they do that. Now that happens when propaganda has gone ahead. You see, the socialists and the communists, they are very, very powerful when it comes to propaganda. Until the Berlin Wall collapsed in 1991, we didn't know that the life in Czechoslovakia and in Poland and in all the Eastern European countries was a sham. Nobody was living any good life over there. But the communist and socialist propaganda is always very, very strong. They propaganded from the 1970s to the 1980s, telling us that life was very good in communist Poland. They told us life was very good in Bosnia-Herzegovina. They told us all of that. When the Berlin Wall collapsed and we went inside and we saw that these people were living in squalor. But the propaganda of the communists can be very powerful. It was only Boris Yeltsin who allowed us to know that perestroika and glasnost and all of those things did not work under Perez de Cuellar. Perez de Cuellar was the
Gino Jollof, consistent taste every time.
Did I say Perez de Cuellar? The Russian leader before Boris Yeltsin was named. Perez de Cuellar was the UN Secretary General who was mediating all of these things. There was a Russian leader at the time. All of these people, they were telling us things. Mikhail Gorbachev, thank you very much. You know my young people, they're supplying the name. Mikhail Gorbachev was a Russian leader. Perez de Cuellar was the UN Secretary General who was negotiating all of these Russian things. When Mikhail Gorbachev was defeated after the Berlin Wall collapsed and Boris Yeltsin came in and he allowed the world into Russia, we saw that Russia was actually a very poor country. But it is the power of propaganda. You know, these propagandists, they are very, very serious at it. So when you have lived your life in Ghana and the propaganda has been that Kwame Nkrumah has done XXX, and you hear 70 years later that perhaps it wasn't true, sometimes because of the power of the propaganda, as human beings, we really don't want to confront it. So for instance, somebody comes to tell me that you are 32 years old and somebody tells you that your father that you have known as your father is not your father. I have the story. Sometimes our human instinct is that I don't even want to know, because for 32 bogus. And then when the propagandists found out that the explanation was bogus, they found an explanation that sounds like it is true. That's where propaganda comes. Very clever propaganda, very, very clever propaganda. That's where it comes. And then so they said something about what the 24-hour economy means. They knew that it's not true. They knew that it's not even possible to reduce electricity for people who are working in the night, because night is peak time. Since NDC came to power, ECG, without the 24-hour economy, have increased electricity. But this is the same ECG that we were told that when 24-hour economy comes from January 2029, if President Mahama wins, ECG will be reducing electricity for people who are working in the night. Now, people who are working in the morning, they have had to pay 4 times what they were paying in 2024. But that is how propaganda works. Watch this advert of 24-hour economy, and you will understand what I mean by the power of propaganda, which can actually portray untruths onto unsuspecting people, and we all believe it. Have a look at this advert.
How can we solve the unemployment crisis in Ghana? Yes, Master.
By using formula 133.
Can you expatiate?
Say, this simply means 1 job, 3 shifts, 3 people. That is the Mahama 24-hour economy policy. Under this policy, businesses will be given tax incentives, cheaper electricity, financial support, and security support services to encourage them to work 24/7.
Baba Jamal walks into the parliament
by adopting 3 work shifts of 8 hours each. This will triple job opportunities in the country. This policy will boost production, increase productivity, and generate well-paying jobs in all participating businesses and public organizations.
Excellent. The 24-hour policy will be a game changer.
Vote for change. Vote for John Mahama and the NDC.
How can you have a Ghanaian job in this Ghanaian economy, a job given by government, even the people in the job, every ministry comes in, they are trying to download the people in the civil service. We say that our biggest problem is the payroll at the civil service, and then the political campaign says that the civil service as it is, I'm going to triple it, and we believe it. We believe it because it sounds. You see, the reason why we believe it is the power behind the propaganda. The power behind the propaganda can be very solid. You know that many years ago, when Jesus Christ resurrected, and the people were told, the bosses in Jerusalem were told that Jesus Christ had resurrected, their first option was, listen, call the guards who were there, let us pay them money and let them change the story. Pay them money. That's always the fuel. That's always the impetus. Pay money. Propaganda is pushed by money, a lot of money paid to people, whether journalists, civil society, everybody. So the Herod and his people in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago, they paid money for the propaganda to be that. And you see, propaganda is always has a likelihood of truth. You always have to tell it. You have to be clever enough. That's why those of us who are not very clever, we can't do propaganda well. Those who are very clever, they are very good at it. When you examine the propaganda, you can see the level of intelligence that has been applied. If you don't have that IQ, you probably will not be able to do it. They always put up a story that sounds like it's plausible. The plausibility of the propaganda is what always works. So they said, tell them that his disciples came to steal his body away. That makes a lot of sense, because his disciples will be embarrassed that he had died. And because they said that he's some Alpha and Omega person and he won't die, and the disciples will be embarrassed that he had died. So say that the disciples had come to pick up the body. That's powerful propaganda that was paid for by Herod. Still lives today, 2,000 years after. So if Herod's propaganda can live for 2,000 years, then the propaganda of the 1950s, 57, 60, it can live for a long time.